Marty, it's like looking in a mirror.
Yep.
You got my duds going on. You got my you taking my stees. What are you doing? Why the get up?
It's my Halloween costume. I'm going as you, man. Just practicing it. Yeah, look at that.
All
I even
right.
got the little snaps. Got my new. This is my new favorite hat. Got this hat at the We Unify conference. Bought it off of Nadine Wellwood was there. That's Nadine's sort of organization, apolitical, non-political, or sorry, partisan, non-party organization. So 1905 is the year Alberta and Saskatchewan joined Confederation. I love this hat. Yeah,
All right.
I'm just having fun with this.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into it because there's a lot to talk about and there's not a lot of time to do this in. So where are we even going to hit first? I kind of want to hit the Stellantis story. I want to talk about this. So Stellantis, for people who don't know, is a company that got a lot of Canadian tax dollars. They got a lot of it was promised and some of it was delivered, but I'm not even sure the numbers of how much they actually collected.
16 billion by all accounts. About 16 billion.
That's not what was promised. It was what was collected.
Okay, good point. That's what was promised between the promises for building a new power or battery plant and a whole bunch of other things. For the record, right, folks, Stellantis is the parent company of Chrysler now. I mean, Chrysler, Jeep, and I can't remember who else. They all fall under the umbrella of Stellantis now, which is but yeah, they got promised a lot of big money, and when our government negotiated with them, one of the things they forgot to mention is that for all this money, you need to stay in Canada.
You got to stay. And
Yeah.
well, this should this be a lesson to people out there that if you're dealing with governments and corporations, there's no loyalty. It's
No.
like there's no loyalty among thieves. And what they're gonna do is they're gonna, as soon as it's not worthwhile for them, they're not gonna bite the bullet and take the hit. They're gonna take the road and get the hell out. That's exactly what they're gonna do.
Which I mean, let's mention what just happened, right? So Stellantis has one vehicle assembly factory in Brampton, Ontario, in particular. That's an old plant. I actually, matter of fact, I worked at that plant. I worked at the Brampton assembly plant. My first co-op job as a student, engineering student. But the plant's been kind of sitting idle, and then they officially announced today, Stellantis, that they're moving the plant will stay there, but the assembly, the work that was being done there, what was it, the Jeep Journey? I think it was the Jeep Journey. Whatever, they're going to assemble them in Chicago, in Illinois instead. So, which again, you can try and change the climate and pass laws and do things to try and keep businesses in an area, but ultimately businesses are businesses, and they will do what's best for the business and the shareholder. And so this is another wake up call. I mean, this is Trump making it attractive for auto workers to go back to or not auto workers,
Auto manufacturers,
manufacturers to
absolutely.
go back to the US. So it's a victory for Trump.
And so here's the news here. Politicians call on Stellantis to fulfill promises to Brampton, Ontario auto workers. You go down, you listen to what they actually made an announcement for. The news comes as a part of a $13 billion U.S. plan announced Tuesday by Stellantis to expand U.S. production by 50% over the next 4 years. So we gave them a bunch of money, and they took that money and they put it in the U.S. So in turn, I mean, if you just by deducing, we gave them money to invest in American auto manufacturing. That's essentially what took place there. Now, Mark Carney, he had a pouty letter to write, and he posted it on social media, and we all got to see it. And what does it change? Zip, zilch, nothing. It changes nothing. Melanie Jolie took to the airwaves to threaten lawsuits against Stellantis. Here's what she had to say.
That's good for business.
So the date of this letter is today. And Melanie Jolie starts the letter by saying that she's writing to express her extreme concern with these investment plans in Canada and in the U.S. And demand that the company respect its obligations flowing from billions of dollars of financial support extended over the decades. And then she says, while the current U.S. tariff environment is creating complex challenges, Stellantis has made important commitments to Canada and to its workforce. Canadians expect that Stellantis will respect and honor these commitments. Anything short of this is unacceptable. And then here's the key part, and I think we have this in writing for our viewers. Should Stellantis choose not to respect its obligations, we will act in the interests of all Canadians and hold the company to full account and exercise all options, including legal. So this is the real nugget in the letter that has everyone's attention.
That's the nugget. That's the nugget. They're threatening to sue. But what do you do? What do you do? Are you going to be able to sue them for millions? And they'll just move more manufacturing out of the country.
You could sue them, but those are all sort of reactionary measures that'll just make things worse because you're sending the wrong message to the investment community. What should Canada do? Canada should be competitive. That's it. Just get out of the way of manufacturing and do things. Let the markets happen. I mean, can you find Doug Ford's quote on this today? Because Doug also, of course, Doug weighs in on this one. And, well, I'll save you the time. I mean, Doug basically said, he said the same thing as Jolie. And then he goes ahead and he says, Canada's world-class auto workers deserve whatever. It's like, nobody deserves anything, Doug. Like, it's like every week I'm picking on Doug. But nobody deserves anything. You have to earn it. And if a Canadian auto worker was a world-class auto worker, he'd be sought after, and people would be coming here. But like something's happening. By the way, I mean this is Canada started. Yeah, there's the quote right there. Like
I've got this. This is him taking it out on the United States as if they're the problem.
Yeah, the tariffs for lumber went up yesterday or today. I'm not sure, but have you got any?
I'll talk to him on Thursday. But that guy, President Trump, he's a real piece of work. You know something? What my message to the Prime Minister when I meet him on Thursday is if he can't get a deal, let's start hitting him back. Let's start hitting the U.S. back hard.
With
because what Trump does is continue. We're nice, play nice in the sandbox. And today's another tour. Yesterday's 10% on softwood lumber. After it was 35%, he increased it 10%. And then he all of a sudden, one day out of the blue, someone must have told him cabinet makers. And we should ship a lot of cabinets down there. And all of a sudden now there's a tariff there. I am sick and tired of sitting and rolling over. We need to fight back. Folks, we are an economic powerhouse. We buy $356 billion of goods, Canada does, off the U.S. We're the number one customer to the U.S. No one in the world buys more goods than what we do. We need to start hitting back and hitting back hard. That's the only thing this person understands. Sorry, I just get pumped up talking about this guy. He drives me absolutely crazy.
Not pumped up, Dougie. You're completely unglued, man. Like, I mean, this is like the example I gave several times in the past, right? Like, you're the pizza bot. You're the guy who owns a little pizza store in the neighborhood, and everybody in your neighborhood, instead of going to your pizza store, is going to the burger joint down the road. And what do? You get mad at everybody's like you start accusing everybody of being clowns and idiots for eating those burgers. You should be eating my pizzas. It's like, Dougie, like if you want people to eat your pizzas or buy your cars, then make a better car, make a better pizza, and then in this economy, unfortunately, it means make it cheaper. But you've made it so expensive with so many rules and so many constraints that companies are finding impossible to be competitive here. Like,
well, it is impossible to be competitive, and it's not like the whole automotive manufacturing takes place in the United States or in Canada. It's not like one company is in one country. They do the whole process. It's cross-border stuff, and as he's calling for more tariffs, it would just make it more expensive on both sides of that. So what's the reaction to people? What's the reaction to these businesses? They look at the environment and they go, okay, if I do cross-border traffic with the manufacturing side of my business, if I had to choose one side, which am I going to choose? Well, that's a no-brainer. Right. It's a no-brainer. And him advocating to make it more difficult for these companies is not helping at all.
Not at all. And then, and I hate to say this, but, Dougie says, I'm tired of rolling over. You don't necessarily need to roll over, but you're going to have to do something. We are next to a giant. I mean, the U.S. economy is 13 times bigger than ours. So you have to find a sweet spot. We have to negotiate good deals, try and understand what Trump wants, and we're going to have to compromise, because we are not in a bargaining position here. Like what Doug says, we buy $300 billion worth of goods. Yeah, we get that, but what do you want us to do? You want me to stop buying all those goods overnight to try and show the Americans, that we're the tough guys? Like that just means us hurting, because the goods are goods that we don't produce here.
You want to make a good showing.
It's a wake-up call.
You want to make a good showing to Donald Trump that you're willing to come to the table and negotiate like a real adult and not try to play games. Get rid of the milk lobby. Get rid of the dairy lobby right there. And then Donald Trump will say, okay, you're actually serious, because they've brought it up how many times that this dairy lobby exists, and you're going to do this twinning of industries. You're going to have yours and we can't compete in your market. What about the banking industry? Why not open up the banking industry? It would only help Canadians and Canadian business people if we had more options in banking, if we had more options in telecoms. But the thing is, they don't want to, and they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to have these monopolies in the Canadian territory, but they don't want to make negotiations, and they want to complain when Donald Trump does something that makes things fair across the board. And it's just the fact of the matter that Canada's had a pretty darn sweet deal for a very long time. And somebody's now come in the White House and said, you know what? We're going to work for our favor, and we're going to work for our people. And we're not going to, we don't appreciate, protectionism, that kind of thing. We're going to do our thing. You're going to have to just deal with that.
Now, hand in hand with this, can you go to my feed on X, and near the top, I have like the blue and white chart with the orange box squared, which is the job creation for Canada last month, because I just want to talk about that real quick. So Stellantis leaving is 3,000 jobs gone. And I just like, this is this week's, this is yesterday. The Stats Canada published the jobs created. By the way, this is just estimated numbers, right? Like even Stats Canada doesn't know exactly. But everybody was all over this. A couple of, Carney was all over this, that apparently, 60,000 jobs had been created. Well, look at that. Like 30,000 are in the public sector, and 20,000 and 30,000 were in the private sector. So half and half. Half the jobs created last month were in the public sector, meaning government jobs. And actually, all the jobs created were in Alberta. Like if you break down to just Ontario, it is dismal what's going on in Ontario. But I just wanted to bring that up. Like this is the problem. Like we deindustrialized ourselves years ago. We've talked about this many times. Like we were good at manufacturing. God, we were really good at manufacturing. Like think about back in World War II, man. Like we ramped it up, man. We were making boats and ships and planes and tanks and everything. And then somehow or other in the 1950s and 60s, we deindustrialized ourselves. And then continue to extract a few resources. And then in the 90s, we stopped doing that, and we transformed ourselves into what? Like a financial country, and dependent on real estate and insurance and services. Like, come on. Like,
and that's all just propped up again because our financial industry is just it's protectionism. We don't allow foreign companies to come and operate at their normal capacity, which we're allowed to. Our banks are allowed to go to the United States and operate there. They're not allowed to come in and operate here. We have more access to Chinese banking institutions in Canada than U.S. institutions. That's what's scary. And that's also like, were you talking about boats? We made boats. We used to make all kinds of ships. And now, even to get a couple of ferries for British Columbia, the state-run ferry organization, they're buying them from China.
Yep.
This is crazy. There are so many people out of work. We're at, 14% unemployment for young adults, and we have 7.1 across the board unemployment. We're bringing tons and tons of people into the country, and even giving them incentives to get here.
We're still advertising overseas to come here. I know where you're going with this. We're still advertising overseas. Yes. Come to Canada. We have free healthcare.
It's just obnoxious, man. Because this is what came up in my feed. I see this from the IRCC, which is, by the way, a government corporation. This Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada.
They posted put that up again. 1.1 million followers. That's more than Mark Carney. So think about that. Who's following Immigration Canada, you think?
I was scrolling through it, and there was a lot of not like McKendricks and McGillicuddies. I'll tell you that. But nonetheless, they put this up. They said, thinking about moving to Canada. Did you know Canada has public health care? Learn how it works, who can get it, and what services are covered. This is absolutely astonishing to me, because realistically, the Canadian government has screwed things up on the incentives of why to come to Canada. In fact, this was pointed out by Cosmin. I never can pronounce his name right. Zerza, I think is how that's pronounced. Says in 2018, the Liberals gutted medical immigration inadmissibility safeguards, allowing entry to those with conditions costing 3 times the average Canadian annual healthcare expenses. Now they shamelessly they're peddling our hospitals to the world's 304 million migrants. And what happened in 2018? Well, that's right. That's since then, we've had more than 74,000 Canadians die waiting for care. That's incredible. Tracy Wilson posting this up, saying they hate us. They hate us. What is wrong with this country that they're doing that?
Well, you said the right word. It's infuriating. Like, I mean, stop that advertising. Like, just like cancel that advertising. Take down the billboards and just close the border. I mean, I know that I kind of do believe there are attempts to close the border. Like, I think some of the numbers now, you can't cheat all the numbers. You know what I mean? So the immigration numbers are going down. We talked last week about, I mean, you got colleges like Conestoga College like complaining that their enrollment is down. It's like, yeah, your enrollment is down. You mean your whatever, your money
scam
is in printing.
Your scam is over.
Yeah. So obviously there are some impacts, but yeah, no, that's an infuriating one for sure. Yeah.
Now in the United States, they have a similar problem where Democrat states have told illegal migrants, illegal aliens, that they can get free health care. And it was a provision in the Big Beautiful Bill. The Big Beautiful Bill, like, a lot of people had some problems with it. There was a lot of extra spending. But one of the big things that they did, there's many good things that came out of it for gun legislation, that kind of thing. We can get into that if you'd like, but
you're just nailing topic after topic that we need to talk about. Like, yes.
Well, exactly. So, but this was the thing. They nailed it in this legislation to say that they cannot give free healthcare to immigrants, to illegals in America. And so this became the big thing. This is why the government's frozen in America, which is actually part of the plan for Donald Trump. But here's the story here. This is Donald Trump saying, yeah, we're not going to give this to illegal aliens.
But the big problem is they want to give health care to people that should not get health care. They want to give health care to illegal immigrants by the millions. Look at Gavin Newsom, what he's done. He's ruined California. He gives health care to anybody. And I guess they do it for votes. I actually think it's bad politics, but I guess they do it for votes.
Well, it's good politics when you're in a Democrat-leaning place. Now, people are saying Donald Trump's lying. This isn't what Gavin Newsom had said, but hear it for yourself. Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong tab here. Switch it over. This is Gavin Newsom himself.
California is poised to be, if this proposal is supported, the first state in the country to achieve universal access to health coverage. So what does that mean? It means full scope Medi-Cal, including long-term care, IHSS, behavioral health to all low-income Californians, regardless of immigration status, regardless of their age, regardless of their immigration status. Full implementation will initiate January 2024.
There's nothing more clear than that they're giving free medical to illegal immigrants, regardless of your immigration status. That is what's on the docket there.
Well, let's rush through a couple of topics related to this. So you got, we're still attracting immigrants. It's out of control immigration, which is causing nothing but problems. What does Carney do on Friday? He announced on Friday, hey, big press release today on Friday. Join me. I'm going to announce 3 big important measures to provide relief to hardworking Canadians. And did you see the 3 measures that he announced on Friday? I mean, I'll save you the time, folks. But measure number 1, to save us money, apparently, he's going to do mandatory taxes. So they're going to automatically fill taxes for like 2.5 million Canadians who didn't file taxes before. Those 2.5 million Canadians. And what did he say? So that they'll have access to benefits. Man, if you want benefits, be responsible and do your own taxes. But, the government's going to do it for them. I think that's as nefarious anyways. There's a bigger story to them wanting to do automatic taxes.
Yeah.
Benefit number 2, the school lunch program that's currently 400,000 kids are taking advantage of. He's going to make that permanent. So it's like, okay, he's going to provide food to 400,000 kids. Why not lower the taxes of families so that we can feed our own kids? But now you and I have to feed somebody else's kids. And number 3 measure, this was the most funniest one of all. He's going to make it free for 1 more year to go into our national parks. Yeah, because that's what people who are like starving and can't afford their rent and can't afford a car, that's the number 1 thing they want to do right now is they want to go on a family vacation to our national parks. Like, my God, they're so out of touch.
Well, I was gonna go camping, Marty, but it might break the bank,
Yeah. Like, I mean, the one. Well, I don't know where you want to go next. I mean, let's stay on Trump. Actually, we're ignoring the big topic this week.
Okay, well, let's get. Here's the best segue into. Well, first, before we segue into that, I just want to show one clip because I think this is great. And I want to show that, in Canada, it's gotten very bad. And I know a lot of us are very pessimistic on the direction that it's going. The United States is going in the opposite direction. And in fact, a lot of the things that they thought they could never get rid of and have tried for many decades, actually, Trump is moving forward on. And this is getting me excited, especially at the end of a press conference when Trump drops something like this and says this.
Honestly, can I put it in plain words for you? And you're a smart guy, so you all understand, but a lot of people don't. The Democrats are getting killed on the shutdown because we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being able, and they're never going to come back in many cases. So we're being able to do things that we were unable to do before. So we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen, and now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're going to have a list of them on Friday, closing up some of the most egregious, socialist, semi-communist, probably not full communist, we're saving that for New York, but semi-communist programs. And we're closing them up. We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So the Democrats are getting killed, but they're not telling the people about that. I say it, I haven't said it probably as bluntly as I just said it, but so we are closing up Democrat programs that we think that we disagree with, and they're never going to open again.
Never.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Actually, that gets me excited.
What did it say in the bottom there? Was he actually meeting with Milei? No, Milei wasn't in the office. That's just something else that was in the...
It said a meeting with Milei.
Up, it made it...
Yeah, it was a live press conference from the other day. I don't think Milei was actually there.
No, that'd be cool. I'd love to see Trump and Milei. I mean, they've been in meetings together, but I haven't seen. He hasn't invited Milei to the White House, and then I guess in the near future he'll probably invite Venezuela's new president. So congratulations, Venezuela, for electing.
Yeah, Maria Corina Machado. She's the one.
Yeah.
Well, she won, but she's not in power at the moment.
She's not in power, but I mean, Venezuela's taking the right steps and moving in the right direction. So,
yeah, Maduro's got a big bounty on his head right now. So I don't know. Just how many moments left are we ever able to count that? And which is a great thing because you know what? There are millions of Venezuelans that probably would like to go home. this is the reality. They would probably like to go home, and they would probably do a lot better at home and with a vibrant economy like they used to have. They absolutely used to have. They have so much oil there. They have so many resources that they can't really do much with a communist government that's inept and just a warlord.
I just wrote that down. I'm going to research that tomorrow. How many people might want to go back to Venezuela? Just like how many people have gone back to Argentina and places like that because of the change in government. I bet you that's a critical factor. Yeah,
I'm sure it is.
I mean, let's keep talking about Trump. I mean, that is the big news story, like the peace accord and the following meeting that he had in Egypt, the whatever he called it. But
well, this is the best clip to actually bring us into that. This is The View.
My point when I say I'm not going to be apocalyptic, it's not changing a tune. It's not making every single thing a 5-alarm fire. Yeah. If he does good, if he gets the Israeli hostages out, I promise I will wear a MAGA hat for one day on the show and say, thank you for doing it. Yeah. She'll knock it right off my head. But like you have to be able to cheer for wins when they happen and then call out relentlessly the wrongdoing. Well,
did they do that? Well, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that one.
No, and she's a bit of a hypocrite. I mean, maybe not her personally, but I guarantee I can tell you for a fact there's a lot of Democratic media this week that are they're slamming on Trump, right? As if they want the peace accord to fail simply because it was negotiated by Trump. Like, man. I mean, can't you just be happy for once? Like, set aside your, and by the way, I mean, I have my doubts as to whether or not the peace accord will last a long time, but I'm not hoping that it fails. And I'm certainly not hoping it fails just so I can go, Trump was wrong. I mean, no matter what, Trump negotiated a peace deal, a significant one. And I hope it's a lasting peace. But,
well, I hope so too. And like, I again, just like you, don't have a ton of faith that the people on one side are going to stick with it. I mean, the first thing that they did was went and started to execute their own people the same very day that the peace accord was signed. But it was a good step in the right direction. Absolutely. Just to see peace happening there, but not just there. I mean, we're seeing peace happening all over the Middle East, and we're seeing negotiations occur. The negotiations with Ukraine, I guess, have fallen through. They're kind of on hold there for a while, and it's because the two sides just can't seem to figure out that this needs to come to an end. Yeah, like, it just needs to come to an end. I think if Canadians would stop paying into it and other people would stop paying into it, you'd see more of a shift away from it. I think too much funding is going towards this stuff. If that dried up, we'd see a lot more moves towards peace.
Well, let's give this peace accord let people, both sides will start doing what they need to do now and start cleaning up the mess and putting in the new government. And I guess Canada has a role to play in it. I mean, Carney, people say Carney was invited. Boy, based on the body language and everything else, I don't think Carney was invited. Like, I think he muscled his way in, but he had to charter a jet because the Canadian one, the regular one he flies, didn't have any pilots. So we don't even have enough Canadian pilots to fly, Air Force pilots to fly the prime minister around. Oh, did you see that? Actually, that was the other funny thing. Trump called him president. And then, do you have that clip? Trump calls him president, and then Carney said something, and then Trump says, "Well, just be thankful I didn't call you governor." Like, is he picking his language on purpose? Like,
yes, he is. This is way too good. Okay, here's the hot mic. You gotta really listen for it. I'll crank it up so everybody can. He says exactly what Marty just described.
Is he going back?
No, I'll go back. I'm glad you upgraded me to president.
Oh, did I say? Great stuff.
It's good. I started.
He said he'd
Great
stuff.
I'm glad you upgraded me to president. So he misspoke, and he said the president of Canada instead of the prime minister. Yeah. But then he gave him the old years. So he glad I didn't call you governor.
Let's stay on the funny stuff. Like, I mean, it's a serious event, right? It's a serious event. It's a peace accord, and people are going up. But then there were some really funny moments. Do you have the clip of Trump shaking hands with Macron?
No, I don't have that clip. I can probably pull it up.
that became a meme after that. Like Trump invited everybody on stage one by one for a photo opportunity, right? And the one with Macron was absolutely because, okay, folks, just a reminder, Macron, Starmer or whatever the guy from England, and our guy Carney were basically interfering in the peace process. Like us going ahead and declaring, you know, support for Palestine as a state, like when we did it like last week, that was kind of poor timing, poor taste, like, you know, and Trump didn't forget that. So so Macron, so this is them shaking hands. Watch this. Like Trump won't let go.
Is he just trolling him? Just giving him a hard time?
He's trying to go.
Okay. Oh,
And
too
then
good.
if you scroll under, I'm sure under this one or any of the ones, if you scroll under, you'll see memes where people have x-rays of Macron's hand afterwards. Like people went found like all these weird x-rays and stuff like that, and they're making fun of Macron. Yeah. X-ray of Macron's hand after shaking hands with Trump. Oh my god.
Oh, that's too good. That's too good. I have
Yeah.
there's apparently Macron with his wife, his beautiful wife. Oh man, people are relentless on the internet. It's great.
Yeah, God love Trump. God love Trump. Boy.
Yes, honestly, and you know, I've been taking a lot of flack for my. I mean, I'm pretty over the top. You know, proud of the job that Donald Trump's doing. You know, as an American citizen, I'm very happy with what's going on. I'm very keen on the direction that he's taking the country, and of course, like when it comes to trade, Canada could smarten up and be happy like everybody else that's happy with trade right now. It really is a Canada shape up. You're this elbows up thing to win an election was, you know, that was whatever. You tried to win an election with that, but get over it. You got duped. Let's move on to the next page.
And you know what? I'm happy about. I'll make a little speech here. I'm also happy about Trump. When Trump got elected at first, I was a little taken aback with his stance. All of a sudden, I felt a little betrayed. Right? We've been neighbors for a long time, and you're shitting on us. But I also remember that 3-4 years ago, I was hoping that the Americans would come and rescue us during COVID. What I'm realizing now is that Trump is going to rescue us, but not in a direct way. He's giving us the mother of all wake-up calls. And I love it for that. So for us, it's short-term pain. That's fine. People lose jobs in Ontario. People lose jobs in Alberta, whatever. He's got tariffs. He's going to hurt the shit out of us. But we're waking up, and finally people are waking up and realizing that it is a wake-up call. Contrary to what Ford says, it's not Trump's fault. It's our fault for being unprepared for this kind of event. So I think Trump is doing us, ultimately, he will do us a favor. And then, you know, we're seeing other little weird results of this. I mean, Newfoundland voted conservative yesterday. There was an election in Newfoundland and they elected a conservative government, first time in 10 years. So
are they actually conservative though?
No, they're not. But I mean, well, no, that's an interesting question, right? I mean, we can talk about Newfoundland conservatives. We can talk about BC conservatives. I mean, what's happening in BC with the conservatives right now has everybody kind of going like, oh shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, John Rustad, I mean, might as well get into it. John Rustad completely shit the bed. He's not the conservative that people thought he was going to be. And he's gone along woke lines to fire his staff. I mean, he's almost indistinguishable from the NDP at this point.
Yeah. Well, what did it start with? Like, well, he hired a new chief of staff. What's his chief of staff? Gary, God, I can't remember his chief of staff's name. No, Ryan something. Anyways, he hired a pretty radical chief of staff, and then his
it turns out. So get this, it turns out that guy's not the chief of staff. He's got a smaller role, and there's a bunch of videos of him saying a bunch of stuff against parents who are concerned about Soji. Those are old clips, and apparently he's got a completely different. He's flipped. He's like red pilled since then. It was when he was a liberal. He was actually with the Liberal Party because all of the conservatives were with them at one point in British Columbia, and since then he's flipped. But he's not out there making tons of public statements about it.
No,
and it doesn't look good. None of that looks good. But where it starts is John Rustad firing or kicking Dallas Brody out of the party. For what? For expressing her opinion on the malicious lies that are out there in regards to what happened at the residential schools. And straight up just saying, like, there are no bodies.
There's
This
no bodies. Like,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
true. And
Yeah,
and
yeah.
in fact, the clip that got her fired was the fact that she was saying it's not true, but people keep coming and saying, but my truth. This is my truth, your truth. Everybody's got their own truth. And she was mocking that, the fact that people had their own truths. And it's like, no, there's the truth. And
No.
that's it.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah, I want one of those t-shirts. I want one of those start digging or shut up t-shirt. Like, I just, like, show me one body. That's all. Just one. And then I'll shut up. But until then, it's a grift.
Exactly. So Dallas Brody points that out. She gets booted from the BC Conservatives. Then Jordan Keeley saw what was going on there. He said, "Forget this, I'm out." Across the floor, not into the NDP, but
what's the Lindsay Shepherd angle in all of this? What was her role in all that?
So this is crazy. Lindsay Shepherd was just a staffer. She was just part of the party as a staff member. She was there at the AGM. I got to meet her, shake her hand, say, I read your book. It's very nice. She's well known. She's internationally recognizable, right? Her name, because of what happened at the University of Waterloo and when she was a student teacher there. And she did a presentation showing both sides of this argument on compelled speech, showing Jordan Peterson's side as well. And she was reprimanded and almost got fired.
Yeah, she was just using a Jordan Peterson video in one of her lectures, and that got her in trouble.
And
like,
at the time, she said she didn't even necessarily agree with him,
right?
But she was just trying to show both sides of the argument, and it went world news, right? And because of that, she's this internationally recognizable name working for the BC Conservatives. She expresses her opinion on her own personal Twitter account on Truth and Reconciliation Day, the Lies and Alienation Day, and talks about this is not true. This is not Canadian history. This is an injustice when it comes to telling the truth, and it needs to be taken down. And it's not right. And she expressed herself on Twitter with that. She was fired by John Rustad.
I guess you guys, British Columbia is one of those last bastions where DEI and that kind of stuff is still and woke is still very very entrenched, right? I mean, woke, other places are finally waking up and kicking out the woke. I mean, this week,
not with Conservatives though, Marty. And this is what's crazy is, like, the Conservatives in BC were the ones who were hard against this woke crap, and it was gaining them popularity because of it.
So why
the hell? So it goes further, Marty. It goes further. You know, Billboard Chris, he shows up to the legislature because he was invited.
He's being John Rustad, or he's being threatened.
John Rustad denied him entry.
Yep.
And it's what?
But I mean, yeah. So my take on it is that, like you said, John was going down that path, but he's misreading the room, or he's scared and he's hanging on to a bit of DEI and wokeism, thinking that that's his way in. I agree with you. I think it's a mistake. He's going to get punted because real conservatives are fed up with this bullshit. Real conservatives will win. I mean, you just said, as Newfoundland conservative, maybe not, but some conservative party, actually the Conservative Party that just won in Newfoundland looks a little bit more conservative than most, right? So it looks fairly conservative. But it's just a general theme, right? The wokeism started, like when Trump got in, wokeism started going out, right? When he said, I'm not supporting the World Health Organization and this, you saw a whole bunch of businesses go, oh, thank God, I can stop doing this bullshit. GM just announced it this week. A few others, like they're all pushing away. But and then what I was going to lead to was Fred Hahn, who was like the leader of the Canadian Union of Public Employees, CUPE. He just got punted at their meeting this year, so he didn't get reelected as the union leader, because people said, wow, like somebody did a study and it said like 37% or 60% of the issues that the union was worried about were DEI issues, and only like 10% of their time were the leadership worried about job security and wages and stuff like that. And then the membership finally woke up and said, this is bullshit. I'm surprised it's taken everybody a long time, but I'm just glad there's an awakening going on all over the place, you know?
Just wait. Just wait, though, Marty.
Yeah.
Honestly, just wait, because Donald Trump just made the announcement that they are going to be labeling Antifa a terrorist organization. And enterprises like CUPE, the public sector union, are full of these characters, and they're fraternizing with actual terrorists. Let's just lack of any better term, I mean, they are actually being declared a terrorist organization, and this is something that's coming out. And I remember when I went to the parental consent protests down in Vancouver, they were across Canada. CUPE was recruiting. There was a Zoom meeting that got put out and publicized that they had, and they were talking with members of Antifa during this meeting. And this is crazy. If Donald Trump goes after these, and the United States goes after these organizations, and they're affiliated with public sector unions in Canada and all kinds of other things, the anti-hate network in Canada, even ties to Carney himself, this is a real serious issue. I'm talking about harboring known international terrorists.
Yeah, no, we're saying the same thing. It's a real issue that's starting to finally unravel thanks to Trump. And like, Trump is the guy who's leading the charge on this. He's said, no, enough is enough, and the dominoes are falling. So yeah, you mentioned CUPE. Fred Hahn did not get reelected. The guy was the most radical. He was Antifa. I mean, he was the classic guy who showed up at things that had nothing to do with unions. The unions would come and protest. So yeah, and I was saying the Alberta Teachers Union here, like, they're suffering. They're realizing that their leadership is not the same as their membership. So the average teacher, I mean, the average teacher is pretty woke as far as I'm concerned, but the leadership is super woke. And now the teachers are realizing that the leadership's not working for them. Like, you're on strike. You're an Alberta teacher. You're on strike right now, and you're not getting paid. And guess who's still getting paid? And saying, oh, bad deal. Well, you should go on strike. We'll get a better deal. The leadership. Like, they, you know, so yeah. What else we got for stories? I'm running out of...
Well, I'm not running out. No, there's still
You're not
tons.
running
So
out?
we're talking about conservatives across the provinces, but then we can talk about the conservatives right at the federal level. So get this. So I was given a survey today from, they called my phone number, or they mailed my phone number and gave me a survey to fill out. And I posted it on X, and it was all the different points that they were bringing up. And the points that they were bringing up were things that were absent from the campaign during the last campaign. And I was really on the level agitated because you and you kept talking about it. Why aren't they hitting the real issues that conservatives care about? Why aren't they talking about immigration, DEI, temporary foreign workers? Well, all those things were brought up in this well, it was a survey, right? How do you feel about this? Yes or no's? And it was straight up just leading. And it leads you right to the end where it was, sign up and donate now so we can bring these things up in Parliament. And it's like, man, we gave you a lot of time a day during the election, and you wouldn't talk about them. You wouldn't talk about these issues when it mattered. But then it dawned on me. And I thought about it. Wow. Okay, so it's really about the Toronto Liberals that you're trying to get to vote for you during the election. Conservatism takes a backseat, goes away, and you got to pretend to be a softer conservative, nothing else, which we warned this would get you a loss. And this is the approach that they took. And then as soon as the election's done, well, now we need fundraising. So what do? We're going to lean on those conservative issues that we talked about. And
you're describing at a macro level what we witnessed at a micro level during the by-election when Pierre came here to run in the by-election to regain his seat. all of a sudden in the by-election, when it was safe, where he was doing a town hall with just people in an Alberta riding, he talked about immigration. He talked about all sorts of things like that got him huge applause. But then he won't talk about those things in the House. He won't talk about the ostriches. He won't talk about immigration. He won't talk about any of those things publicly. I mean, he surprised me this week. He talked a little bit about what was this controversy this week. He talked about
talking about Trudeau era scandals that he should be in jail for them.
Yeah, which is like, okay, that's interesting, but I mean, that's pretty safe, right? That's relatively safe. You're not going to get in trouble from either side. You're going to get the usual shit from the Liberals for saying that. You're going to get an applause from some Conservatives, but it's not the issues we're worried about. They all play like that. I mean,
you know what did come out though? What did come out was there's a podcast, and the whole podcast hasn't aired yet, but there's a short from this podcast called "Can't Be Censored." It was this guy who got canned from CBC because he wanted to tell the truth.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now he's like, oh goodness, they're a propaganda outlet, right? And as if he wasn't adding to it. But then he has
that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and who does he have on the podcast? He's had Pierre Poilievre on the podcast now, but he has Kevin O'Leary on the podcast, and he asked Kevin O'Leary about Pierre Poilievre and what his thoughts were on him, and this is what was said.
He has told us that they made significant gains with demographics that they weren't necessarily successful for years. You know, you sound like a CEO I recently whacked.
Perfect.
You either win or you lose.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I don't give a shit what the excuse is. You had a mandate, you failed, you get whacked. That's how it's a very Darwinian world that way. And I'm sorry, politics is even worse. The excuses don't matter. What matters is you either won or you lost. Period.
Yeah.
Period. That it's either that you won or you lost.
That host is the whistleblower. That's what he did now. So he quit his job at CBC and then he's doing his own podcast kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. He joined another woman who I think quit from CBC, and now they do that thing together.
But I saw, and related to that, I saw your tweet, your poll. Do you think? I don't think O'Leary will run again for the party, but it's an interesting question. I mean, he had a good chance. In hindsight, he got pushed out. I mean, he was an outsider, and the machine pushed him out. I don't believe any polls anymore. I don't believe in politics. Actually, let me tell you a quick story. Okay, show that. Yeah. I mean,
Pierre's leading in that poll.
Yeah, nothing's fair anymore. Let's just put it that way. I mean, I've come so distrustful of voting, and I'll tell you a story real quick. I went to vote on Tuesday here, on Saturday. We are the Alberta, the municipal elections are on right now in Alberta, and so I went to the advanced poll on Saturday, and my wife was like, "Oh God, here goes Marty," because there was an audience there, and I decided, let's test the freaking system. I walked up to the girl, and then she took my driver's license and whatever, and then I said, "How are you going to validate that I'm a Canadian citizen?" She's like, "Well, I just asked you for your driver's license." I'm like, "That doesn't mean anything. That just shows that I have a driver's license. It's not a proof of citizenship." And then she was stumbling. I'm like, so I asked the next girl, "What's your role in this?" And I went down the road and I asked everybody questions. Man, were they feeling uncomfortable. Like, they were not happy to get questions. And Karen's like, "Why are you doing this?" I'm like, "Because I'm fed up with the political system in this country, and I don't think elections are being run fairly." And I'm saying it out loud so that everybody who's there could hear me. Everybody listening today, do the same thing, man. Like, don't be shy. Question things out loud. Like, when you meet a politician, ask them hard questions. And when they don't answer your question, say bullshit. And when you meet a civil servant, ask them hard questions. And when they don't give you the right answer, say bullshit. Like,
I didn't know if you were going to give me a good segue to this for this episode, but this match is so perfect. This is happening in the United States as well, in Democrat-run places, and it's being called out. This is something that happened, was really showcased recently. Here's Tim Walz. We all know who he is.
Oh, yeah.
He's the American version of Doug Ford. Here he is, making it basically legal for anyone with a driver's license to vote in the elections. and watch how quickly they figure out that this is how you get illegals to vote.
It's done.
A packed room at the St. Paul Armory erupted after the governor's signature made driver's license for all the law of the land.
So we give driver's licenses to anyone here. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to, which is a photo ID. So if someone comes in, they register, they have the driver's license, but they have an incorrect social or no social or whatever. So then they become incomplete. But if they walk in to vote with their driver's license, does that make them all of a sudden now okay?
Mr. Linnell.
Madam Chair, so the designation on the roster for someone whose registration had been incomplete, if they present the election judge with that acceptable identification document, that would clear the challenge from the roster and they would be permitted to cast a ballot.
Anderson.
Well, okay, there's your problem potentially. So thank you.
So just to clarify, someone who is not a citizen but presents a driver's license at that point in the process could be permitted to vote.
Madam Chair, at the time of registration, as well as at the time of submitting a ballot, every voter is signing the attestation affirming their eligibility to vote, including that they meet all eligibility requirements, that they are a U.S. citizen.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing in most Canadian provinces. So I researched this in the last few months. It's the same thing in Alberta. So Saturday when I showed up, if I wasn't on a pre-registered list, I showed my driver's license and you signed on an attestation. And it's like, well, what do you guys do with that? They look at you with a blind stare. It's like, well, I don't know. It's like, well, I know what you do. You keep it. And if somebody challenges the results, then supposedly somebody's then going to open it up and go verify. But nobody's verifying. It's too late. Like you vote. And once the vote's counted, nobody's going to go back and say how many of the votes were done by people attesting on the spot. Nobody counts.
Well, and yeah, that's it. Like, how many millions of people are in the country and we're not even just talking about illegal immigrants. We're talking about people who are on permanent residence, people on visas, visitors, what have you. People who are not here as citizens that are getting a driver's license because they're permitted to get a driver's license, but then they're able to vote. They're able to vote. And this is across the board in the United States. Elon Musk was very, very, very specific when he talked about this. He said that if Donald Trump does not win this election and we reverse the trend of what they've been doing, there will be there'd be no need for further elections in the United States. It'll be Democrat run forever. Yep. And now it's being reversed. This is amazing on the US side, but we're also seeing it on the Canadian side, which is crazy because we saw the results of the last election. Obviously, there's no proportional votes. There's no representative vote in Canada. You basically have to maybe that's what people need to do. All of Alberta and all of British Columbia, Saskatchewan, go get Ontario driver's license. Get registered in Southwestern Ontario and vote often, or whatever they say, because that's the only way, I guess, to win the country other than independence, balkanization. I mean, this is crazy. It's unbelievable.
Hey, we're about to end the show, which is good. I just glitched about 3 times while I wasn't talking, so it's good. So I think once I stop the Twitter feed, it'll be good. But just before we leave, can you bring up Ryan Garrettson's tweet about Carney? So Carney went to Egypt, and while he was in Egypt, he tweeted about Happy Thanksgiving, and he made it look like he was on a Canadian base, and everybody called him out for it because he used the same pictures that he had used earlier.
Oh boy, how would I find that? Is that on your feed?
It'd be at the top of my feed. Near the top of my feed, I reshared it, and it'll be Ryan Garrettson, or not. Is that how he says his name? You know who I'm talking about, Ryan.
I do.
He's got the 2 side-by-side pictures there. You'll see it. I just want to talk about that before we.
Gotcha. Here it is.
Yeah. Just want to end it on a positive note. But so Carney on the left is him saying, Happy Thanksgiving, especially appreciate the Canadian troops, blah, 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 blah. And then everybody pointed out that, you know what, like, be more genuine, dude. Like, you're recycling a picture from, like, 6 months ago, and
Brutal.
it's brutal, right? You don't need to don't do that crap.
Same
It
woman
makes-
at the table, same guy at the
same guy.
table.
It's just like they're months apart,
Oh,
right? That one's
no.
August 27, and then like go to the one for yesterday or this week. Like, it's this Thanksgiving, we're grateful, blah blah. Like, what do you get as an impression when you see that picture? People go, well, he wasn't trying to make it sound like he was on the base. I'm like, I don't care what he's trying to do, man. That's just crappy. Like, you don't need a picture. And so anyways,
That's brutal.
just the fakeness, right? Just bringing that up to folks. Like, that's the fakeness that we're dealing with. That's the they're gaslighting us at every opportunity.
Marty, where can people find you?
Marty Up North on Twitter or X. I gotta get used to saying X. Yep. And on YouTube, but yeah, come see me on X, folks.
Yeah, and don't forget you can find the merch on the merch store as well. I might as well throw that plug in. Make sure you get over there. We got a couple of new t-shirt designs over there, as well as we got some more of the Fuera mug, and of course the Clyde Brew Something lineup in coffees. Amazing coffees made fresh when you order them. So go on, get those, and of course we'll see you the next time